Myers is the most dangerous patient I have ever observed.
Doctor, there is no diagnostic evidence to support that statement.
He's covering up. This catatonia is a conscious act.
I can see no reason why he shouldn't remain here. We have adequate facilities for his care.
There is insufficient security here. Please, I am begging you to reconsider your decision.
Dr. Loomis, perhaps you should reconsider keeping him as your patient. We can find someone else to look after him.
I'll stay with him.
Now, is there anything else you wish to say, Dr. Loomis?
Well.
Dr. Loomis, this thing is all over the state. The patient escapes once, murders 3 teenagers. You shoot him with a gun, he escapes again.
I should have listened to me earlier.
I know, I'm sorry.
For 15 years, I've been obsessed to find out what was going on inside of him. It's been my life work and my ultimate failure. This force, this thing that lived inside of him came from a source too violent, too deadly for you to imagine. It grew inside him, contaminating his soul. It was pure evil.
What makes you think he'll come back here?
This house is sacred to him. He has all his memories here, his rage. Mrs. Strode, I beg of you, don't let your family suffer the same fate that Laurie and her daughter suffered.
Jamie, I thought that...
She's been found outside Haddonfield, stabbed.
What should I do?
I've written it all down for you, but you haven't a moment to lose. Mrs. Strode, Michael Myers has come back to Haddonfield to kill.
Name: Samuel Loomis. Known aliases: Dr. Loomis. Dr. Samuel Loomis is one of Halloween's famed characters, originally played by the late Donald Pleasence. And in this video, we're going to dive deep into the history of Dr. Loomis. Born March 13th, 1922, to Jonathan and Charlene Loomis. An important factor to note is that Loomis's history is split between different timelines: Halloween H20, 20 years later, and Halloween Resurrection. Ignore the events of Halloween 4, 5 and 6. Splitting the timeline into 2 different timelines, both originating from John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween and its 1981 sequel. And in 2007, Rob Zombie rebooted the franchise again, and that sets the timeline fresh. November 5th, 1963. 6-year-old Michael Aubrey Myers had been admitted to Smiths Grove Sanitarium on behalf of Judith Myers' murder. Michael was a blank, emotionless slate to Loomis, not speaking, rarely even moving. Loomis noticed the deep-rooted trauma in Michael's psyche, and knew that special treatment would be required to help him. May 1st, 1964. Dr. Loomis met with 2 doctors in the sanitarium's form chamber. Loomis suggested that Michael be confined to a maximum security ward located at Litchfield, Illinois. The fellow doctors brushed off Loomis's request, declaring that Michael was a mere catatonic exhibiting comatose behaviour, who did not react to any of his surroundings. Dr. Loomis insisted to be taken seriously because he was convinced that Michael's behaviour was an ingenious cover for his true nature, and in his mind, Loomis knew that the level of security at Smiths Grove was insufficient. He even pleaded with the other doctors that Michael be moved immediately to another facility where no possible escape could be made, and all requests were declined, and the ultimatum was that either Loomis takes Michael as his patient or somebody else would look after him. Loomis knew that nobody else could be trusted to look after Michael, so he agreed to stay with him. On October 19th, 1978, Michael would turn 21, and by law would have to be presented to the court for his birthday for trial, and a final verdict would determine whether Michael would be set free or kept for further confinement. Monday, the 30th of October 1978. On a rainy night, Loomis and his medical assistant nurse Marion Chambers are responsible with transferring Michael Myers back to his home county for trial. Loomis tells Marion that Thorazine would be used before Michael is presented to the judge. Nurse Chambers is confused as to why Michael would be heavily drugged, and then realised Loomis wants Michael to have no chance to be released back to society. Loomis and Marion reach the gate of Smith's Grove Sanitarium and discover that many of the patients are roaming around the grounds. And as Loomis leaves the car to phone the hospital, Michael appears and steals the car as Marion escapes. Michael's plan is to return to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois. After driving 150 miles to his destination, he arrived back home in time for Halloween. Loomis truly knows how evil Michael is, so he tracks down Michael to Haddonfield in hopes of stopping him. While en route to Haddonfield, Loomis stopped along a highway in west central Illinois to contact Haddonfield authorities. Loomis has every reason to believe Michael will return home, so he urges the police to watch out for him. Loomis finally arrived in Haddonfield and seeks out the help of Haddonfield Memorial Cemetery's gravekeeper, and they discover that Judith Myers' headstone had been removed and is now missing. This is enough to assure Loomis that Michael has indeed returned home. Shortly after, Loomis enlists the help of Haddonfield Sheriff Lee Brackett. The pair later travel to the former Myers house at 45 Lambkin Lane. Upon arrival, Loomis notices that the front door had been broken into. That, and the carcass of a stray dog being left inside the home, Loomis is sure Michael had returned. Loomis tries his best to explain to Sheriff Brackett that Michael Myers has come home, and that Michael is a human incarnation of pure evil, and that he has returned again to kill. While Michael stalks Laurie Strode and her friends, Loomis waits and watches over the house. Sure that Michael will return home once again, he discovers the stolen car from the previous night, and begins combing the streets where he finds two children that Laurie Strode had been babysitting. They were frantically running away from a house. Loomis didn't hesitate to investigate, and finds Michael attacking Laurie. When she pulls off the mask that Michael had picked out in Nichols' hardware store, Michael went to reapply the mask, and Loomis took the opportunity to shoot his former patient 6 times. Knocking him to and off the balcony of the 2-story house. The whole night was leading up to Loomis finding Michael and finally putting a stop to him, and as Loomis went to check on the body of his former patient, he was gone. Leading into the next set of events, Loomis sets out to continue searching for Michael again, and Loomis spots Michael walking the street. As he quickly begins running away from the police, a squad car comes speeding and crashes into him. While everyone assumes that the killer is dead, Loomis isn't so sure and cannot be sure. Meanwhile, Gary Hunt arrived to inform Sheriff Brackett that his daughter Annie had been killed, and they make their way to the Wallace home to ID the victims. Sheriff Brackett puts the blame on Loomis as he feels it was his fault for Michael's escape. Officer Hunt and Loomis head to the coroner's, where they find out that it was not Michael who had been burned out after the crash, and it was in fact a teenager named Bennett Tramer. Both Loomis and Hunt head towards Haddonfield Elementary School, where they find a word Samhain written on the chalkboard in what seems to be blood. It is at this time that Dr. Loomis is ordered to leave Haddonfield by the state government, so as to not cause panic. As Marion Chambers is escorting Loomis out of Haddonfield, she reveals one fact that changes everything. Michael had not randomly chosen Laurie to hunt. It wasn't a coincidence or just an unlucky day for Laurie. It turns out that Laurie Strode and Michael Myers had been related the whole time, and when Michael was younger, he had a sibling named Cynthia Myers. And after murdering his oldest sister, Judith Myers, and was sent away, one night his parents were travelling to visit Michael, and the father, who was drunk, caused the car to crash, killing both Edith and himself, Donald Myers. After the death of both parents, Cynthia Myers was put up for adoption and adopted by Morgan and Pamela Strode, and they legally changed her name to Laurie Strode as to protect her from her brother ever finding her again. With this newfound knowledge, Loomis realises that Michael had returned for one thing: killing off his bloodline. Loomis hijacked a police car escorting him out of Haddonfield and headed back to the hospital where Laurie was admitted to. Loomis raced to Laurie's aid and once again shot Michael Myers multiple times, but this didn't stop him, and Loomis and Laurie ran to a nearby operating room where Loomis attempted to stop Michael with a bullet to the head. He unfortunately wasn't aware that the gun was carrying no ammo. Loomis fires an empty chamber and Michael angrily stabbed him in the stomach, sending Loomis to the floor. After Laurie shot Michael in each eye hole, Loomis recovered and tells Michael it's time. After Laurie fled the room, Dr. Loomis released the valve on a gas canister and blew himself and Michael up. We soon learn that Loomis survived, but was left with a pronounced limp, presumably because of the burns or even the stab wound to his stomach. Michael also survived the explosion, but suffered serious burns as a result. 1980. Laurie had a daughter named Jamie Lloyd, but shortly after it came out that Laurie and her partner died in a car crash. On October 30th, 1988, Michael Myers, who had been in a coma for 10 years, awakens in an ambulance when he hears that he has a niece back in Haddonfield. Michael was being transferred from the hospital into a more secure facility, and Dr. Loomis once again sets out to find Michael, and unsuccessfully attempts to alert the police that Michael is now free. Both Michael and Loomis meet at a gas station, and Loomis attempts to reason with Michael, but can't get through to him. He even offered himself as another victim, so long as he leaves Haddonfield alone. But Michael can't be reasoned with, so Loomis tried firing more bullets into Michael, but he vanished. Loomis hitches a ride with a man named Jackson P. Sayer, who tells Loomis that you cannot kill evil like you can kill a man, and Sayer dropped off Loomis at the Haddonfield police station. Loomis comes to find out the Sheriff Brackett is retired, and the new sheriff is Ben Meeker. Unlike last time, Meeker and the rest of the police force believe him, and Michael goes on to slaughter many officers in the police station, and a group led by Earl Ford emerges from a local bar, and they quickly form a lynch mob when Loomis, seeing no other defence for the town, tells him that the monster had returned. Loomis worked with Sheriff Meeker and the town's remaining officers to help protect Jamie Lloyd, Michael's young niece, from her murderous uncle. Michael ends up attacking Loomis while protecting Jamie and recovers as he witnesses the sheriff and a few of the mob and state police shoot up Michael, sending him down an abandoned well which they ignite and blew up, which seemingly finally kills Michael. However, after the nightmare appears to have ended, Loomis sees the horrific sight of Jamie just having stabbed her stepmother, dressed in a clown costume, similar to what Michael wore when he killed his older sister Judith as a child. Sheriff Meeker stops Loomis just as he raises his gun to Jamie, as Loomis loses control at the thought that the evil that drove her uncle has now possessed his niece. 1 year later, Loomis is assigned to Jamie at the Haddonfield Children's Clinic. Aware that Michael is still alive and discovering that Jamie is psychically linked to him, I can't even say that word, psychically linked to him, Loomis constantly pressures Jamie to inform him of Michael's whereabouts, but Jamie is too traumatized to tell him. When Michael returned, he murders Jamie's adoptive sister, Rachel Carruthers, along with her associates. After Michael murdered Tina, Jamie agreed to help Loomis, and Loomis set out with the help of the police to trap Michael at his old house involving Jamie. He had Jamie sit at Judith's dressing table, where she had been murdered so many years ago, and the police receive calls about Michael being at the clinic, and they all leave, leaving only Loomis, Jamie and Deputy Charlie Bloach. Deputy Bloach is ordered to take Jamie to the police station, but he is stopped by Loomis, who truly knows that Michael will return to his house. Loomis turned out to be right, and Michael did arrive home. Loomis tries to reason with Michael, proposing that he can fight this rage and redeem himself through a positive relationship with Jamie. It seems as if Loomis's words went through to Michael, and Michael put down his knife. Loomis slowly went to take the knife away, but Michael slashed Loomis across the abdomen and then threw him through a banister in a frenzy. Loomis awakens, and it appears as if Loomis betrayed Jamie and grabs her as an offering to Michael, all in an attempt to lure him into a trap. Loomis drops a metal net over Michael and shoots him with a tranquilizer gun, and he then violently beats him unconscious with a wooden plank. During all of this, Loomis suffers from a stroke and retires and moves to a quiet hut on the outskirts of Haddonfield, where he would live in solitary, almost like a hermit lifestyle, choosing not to interact with anybody. Michael was shortly taken to a police station where himself and Jamie were taken by a man dressed in black. And in 1995, the nightmare starts all over again. On a cold and stormy night, somebody knocks on Samuel's door, and it's Dr. Terence Wine, his old colleague, who had come to persuade Loomis to return to Smithsgrove Sanitarium, and of course Loomis declined. And while the two are arguing, they hear the voice of Jamie Lloyd in the radio. Jamie's begging out to Dr. Loomis to help her, and it turns out that Jamie was impregnated by the same cult that kidnapped her in 1989. However, she succeeds in escaping after giving birth to a baby boy, Michael's baby boy.
Now who's coming?
Michael Myers. Look, someone, anyone, help me. Dr. Loomis, are you out there? Can you hear me, Dr. Loomis? I need your help.
Please, no, stop.
She took the child with her and stopped at a bus station to call Dr. Loomis. Unfortunately, Michael tracked her down and killed her, but was unable to find the baby. Jamie had left her son in a bus stop bathroom and was found by Tommy Doyle, the boy Laurie Strode was babysitting in 1978, who has become a reclusive adult bent on destroying Michael Myers. He named the child Stephen. The following morning, Jamie's body is discovered and Loomis is devastated. He thought that the last of Michael's bloodline was killed off that night, but after being approached by Tommy Doyle, who tells him about his discovery of the baby, Loomis knows that he must help fight his nemesis once again in order to save the infant. Tommy tells him to meet him at the campus rally the next night to discuss what to do next. The following night, Loomis meets up with Tommy Doyle, but their meeting was cut short as they discover the body of Barry Sims falling from a tree. They both know that Michael is now back in Haddonfield. They return to Tommy's house where they discover the baby is missing, as well as Cara Strode and her son Danny, whom Tommy was trying to keep safe. The Strodes eventually bang on the door, begging to be let in as Michael is chasing them. Tommy questions the doctor as to who knew about the baby and is told that only Loomis and Wine know, and this is when they hear a voice call out to Danny. They go into the living room where it's revealed that Dr. Terence Wine, Sam's old colleague, is actually the mysterious man in black that freed Michael after his capture by Loomis years ago. Dr. Terence Wine, along with an old neighbour of the Myers family, had placed a thorn curse on Michael on the night that he killed Judith. Loomis and Tommy are then drugged while Wine takes Cara, Danny and Stephen with him to the base of his operations at Smiths Grove Sanitarium. As soon as they recover, the duo travels to the sanitarium where Loomis intends to deal with Wine. He tells Tommy to stay put while he takes care of things, and he finds Wine in his office where Wine reveals that he wants to experiment on Jamie's baby to recreate Michael. Loomis is about to shoot Wine but is knocked out by Wine's henchmen. They leave Loomis while they go to Stephen and Danny. Unbeknownst to Loomis, Wine and his accomplices are then slaughtered by Michael. Oh my god, thank god I don't have to say Wine one more time because that shit is pissing me off. I can't say it properly. Loomis awakens and searches for Tommy and the others. He finds them running away from Michael and opens the sanitarium's gate for them. As they get in their car, Tommy offers Loomis to come with them, but he replies that he still has some things to finish up in the sanitarium. A loud scream was heard from inside the building which Loomis and Myers were last seen in, and the mask of Michael Myers was found on the floor. The next timeline, we find that Dr. Samuel Loomis died of a heart attack in front of Michael, after Michael killed Elizabeth, and he was buried in Mount Sinclair Cemetery. The final timeline, which ignores all the Halloween films aside from the original, has Loomis residing from being Michael's doctor after the killer's apprehension in 1978. And the following year, Loomis gave a record statement claiming that Michael should be killed as there was no point in keeping him alive. At some point afterwards, Loomis passed away, and his student, Dr. Rambert Sartain, took over as Michael's doctor. The final timeline also had the bloodline between Michael and Laurie erased, meaning that the original film was not about his hunt for his sister, as portrayed from the original timeline. And that about sums up the video. I think there was about 18,000 characters and about 2,500 words in this script for the video alone, which is just crazy. That's probably why I sound so drained by the end of it. I just probably sound like I have no enthusiasm at all, but it's because I've been speaking for so long and it's just killing me now. A massive shout out to the fandom that this came from. Of course, it's a place where you can find out a lot of information about the Halloween characters, the storyline, and so much more. So if you want to go check that out in the description, you can check it out, and you can also read this yourself on their website. If you don't want to listen to me speaking for half an hour, which if you're hearing this, it's probably too late. But that about wraps up Dr. Samuel Loomis's life in the Halloween franchise. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you enjoyed the video, even though I just said that. I gotta end it. Okay, thank you so much for watching.